There's not much that compares to the experience of a good RPG game for me, let alone one that I can share with friends. I'm constantly on the lookout for the next great game to play with our restless group, who adore sharing new experiences together. The laughs from silly failures or epic misses to just downright facepalm moments that lead to lasting phrases that are still funny years later. When we get to share a gaming experience, it's just that much better. We're happy to say that in our next title, there were many belly laughs from our group, particularly when we decided to see if we could break the game's physics with our horses and slowly ascend through a fireplace still mounted. We were successful in our hilarious attempts, and it only made me appreciate the game that much more. Hi, my name is Lil, and this is my early access review of Swords and Magic and Stuff. Despite my complete inability to remember which order to put the N and the and in the title, I will say that I found a ton of enjoyment from the game, so let's break it down. For those that haven't heard of it, this little indie gem has been in early access since 2020. It's an RPG game, but most notably, co-op. The added bonus is that you can take your characters in between servers, so no, you don't have to create your 10th character to level up with your friends. Though that is an option if you prefer it, as there are 10 character slots in the game. I have to be honest, at first glance, I almost denied the coverage request for this game. The simple graphics are deceptive from trailers and videos alone, and the amount of depth, personality, and fun that's hidden in them is pretty massive. The positive reviews on Steam is what convinced me to try it, and the open world exploration, entertaining questlines, and multitude of crafting, leveling, and skill tree systems are what have me impressed and keeping me going through the storyline and world. The thing that stood out to me the most was the connection that many of the NPCs share. I genuinely felt like I was walking through a town where all the people knew each other. Whether it was referencing the other NPCs in their dialogue boxes, or having me complete a quest for someone else, in order to unlock their own interactions and quests, it was woven together with far more care than most indie titles, and I appreciated every moment of it. So often, indie RPGs feel devoid of character and life in them, rocking robotic NPCs and mediocre writing. But Swords and Magic gave us comedy and charisma right from the start. As someone who tends to prioritize story elements in games, this aspect is what kept my heart happy even a few hours in. The game isn't necessarily easy either. There were multiple times where it felt almost needed to have a second person with you. Or, at the very least, that if you were playing solo, you'd want to be more tactical with how you approached some areas or groups of mobs on the map. I appreciated this, as it's typical in the RPG genre to have a fair bit of challenging moments, so to find it here only increased our enjoyment levels. I'll be the first to admit, the more playful and casual graphics lulled me into this sense of safety that I immediately paid the price for, so don't let the beauty of the place fool you. I'll take a quick moment and talk about the classes in the game, as there are 6 of them. It's the traditional level up through weapon use and grow your proficiency, and this is a system I'm a fan of, so no complaints here. Whether you want to be an archer, healer, mage, or just get up close and personal with your enemies, there's enough variation in the playstyle that all 4 of us from the fort that played each enjoyed a different experience. In terms of enemies, you'll find an eclectic mix of them in the world. From rats that will nibble your toes, not gently, to giant crabs intent on snapping your limbs off your body, and yes, even your random bandit camps that will seek to utterly unalive you. I was impressed by how alive the world felt and accurate to what a map might feel like in a realm like this. It's clear how intentional this team was with their map building, and it's what sets this one apart from a lot of other indie titles I've played, and even from recent releases. So let that be my compliment to its quality. With that, it's time to take a moment to nitpick a bit, as it wouldn't be a Pillow Fort review if we didn't find at least one thing. I will say that the only thing that really flustered me about the title wasn't the graphics or combat or building systems. All of that felt seamless to an extent that left me surprised. However, the quest sync system just felt disjointed and broken at times. Our group of 4 started the game together, and at one point, one of our friends was oodles ahead of us, fighting the first boss, without us even realizing he dared it off. There was no announcement system or chat message alerting us that he'd started anything significant. A few minutes later, we caught up and advanced the quest to be released into the world, only for me to realize 20 minutes later, while everyone was turning in a quest in town, that my quest was in fact all the way back by the first boss. I had to take an extra 15-minute detour to go turn in the quest and follow the same 2 quests after that to then catch up. Now, I'm going to immediately play devil's advocate and say that quest syncing in co-op games is one of the hardest things to achieve. Expecting an indie game to have seamless quest syncing that both alerts you when other players are starting events or quests, and allows you your own quest lockouts so that you don't get left behind and miss out on every piece of text and dialogue to the point where you just don't know who you are or what you're doing. The balance between the two is nearly impossible on the best of days, and AAA titles like World of Warcraft barely have it down. So I'm going to refine my complaint to be this piece of feedback. I'd love to see a bug fix for the system, since my quest showed that I was on the same part they were, but my turn-in didn't allow me to turn it in until I'd physically talked to each NPC as well. If I'd been able to see that I wasn't on the right part of the quest, it would have been easy for me to write off this complaint to my own negligence, but that wasn't the case. Aside from that, I have to admit we had a great time. The game does have an eventual end, and to our understanding, once you hit, it can sort of stagnate in terms of things to do. However, I don't really know a single game that doesn't happen in, at least for me, so it seems like an odd comment when talking about video games. Also, I feel it important to state that this is an early access title still. The developers have been pushing out consistent updates to the game, and more story content is just around the corner, so this one will just keep getting sweeter with time. We obviously don't rate early access titles, but we've enjoyed it enough to schedule a stream to share it with the community, and we'll keep revisiting it as it gets updates, and of course, once the full release does finally come. If you're interested in the game, please make sure you wishlist it on Steam. It has a huge impact on the game's overall success. It's at this point that we'll give a huge thanks to Kindred Games for allowing our group to try it. It'll be staying active in our Steam inventory for sure. Before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we're constantly showcasing new games. Feel free to drop a comment with any of your own thoughts or questions. We're always happy to answer them. That's going to be it for this video, but thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.